So how can you trade the stock market when you have a normal job, a 9 to 5? It's more possible than ever, and I'm going to explain why and some things that you can do to at least learn how to trade and make some trades while you're working that normal job. I'll also do my normal market analysis. We'll figure out if there's any risk of a stock market crash and how high oil prices are affecting the market. And then I'll look at the trade of the week on AKAN. But let's begin the discussion around trading when you have a normal job. And at the top of the video, I said it's easier than ever before. Now, one of the reasons it's easier is that there is now extended trading sessions which are quite actively traded. So the market opens at 4 a.m. Eastern time, and it gets pretty active from 7 a.m. Eastern until 9:30 Eastern. So for those who are on the East Coast or in Europe, that pre-market trading session presents a lot of opportunity. You've also got this new technology that's coming along where you can control your computer from a mobile device. And that's what I do. When I leave the house, I don't really leave the market. I'll bring my iPad with me and I can control my big trading computers from my iPad. So if it's a slower time of day, let's say I trade the first part of the day early in the morning until a little bit after the market opens, and then through the middle of the morning there's not as many opportunities, I might go run errands and use my iPad to control my home computer using software like TeamViewer or go to my PC. And then finally, we have the extended trading session. After the normal market closes at 4 o'clock Eastern, there's extended trading hours. And if we look at some charts here, this is SOBR, which was a strong mover on Friday. It started that strong move early on the morning of Friday, 7:15 or so. It started to move. You can see our action candles firing there. And the stock went from 70 cents to 97 cents even before most people were at work. And so if you had to be at your job at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, this is the kind of trade you could fit in before you go to work. For some, coming home from work, say at 4 o'clock, 4:30, you're now eligible to trade in the after hours session. And here you can see PN on Friday made my action candle indicator right there, which tells us it's trading abnormally. Had a little pullback in there and it made a nice little move from around $4 to over $5.50 after the normal market was closed. And if you can take advantage of those times because you work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, then that's an opportunity. The big thing though, of course, is that the pattern day trading rule in the US is going to end very soon. It's not really ending, it's just the threshold is coming down a lot. It used to be, or it's currently, is you have to have, for American traders, a minimum of $25,000 in your account to be able to day trade, to actively trade. Well, that's being lowered to $2,000. Now, if you're in that, situation where you don't have $25,000, the market is now going to be open to you to be able to day trade. But the other thing it's going to do is it's going to bring in a lot of new traders. It's going to add a lot of liquidity. And I think it's going to add a lot of opportunity because more and more retail traders are going to come into the market. That's going to create more volume, more volatility, and present more opportunities. So that's a good reason to take a look at trading in the next little while. All right, let's get into my normal market analysis. We'll jump into the Stockscores website and take a look at the first chart here, which is the S&P 500. And you can see the big bounce back that we've had over the last month or so through the month of April. Now we come into May. Very strong. I think we're probably due for a little pullback, but there's no sign of one yet. So the trend is bullish for the large cap US stocks, and the long-term picture, if we look at that 3-year weekly chart, is also bullish. So generally for those large cap stocks, it's looking pretty good. Now the NASDAQ 100, very similar bounce back. There is a little bit of a deception with these charts because the index charts, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P, these are what's called market weighted indexes, which means the biggest companies have the heaviest weighting. And so you can have big companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, which have very large market caps, Nvidia, pull the whole market up while most stocks aren't necessarily doing great. So you can't just trust this And one of the charts that I like a little better to sort of gauge what the retail trader is thinking is the IWM. This is the small cap index chart. And it's a broader range of small cap stocks. I think it's a better representation of retail traders. For the last 2 weeks, it's been more or less sideways. It started to perk up Thursday and Friday, but you can see the volumes are very low. So money was going into the large cap market and not so much into the small cap market. Retail trading was a little slower, but I think we could see that start to pick up if we can make that breakout there through resistance. All right, moving along to the Canadian market, T.XIU is the symbol. And you see the general trend on the daily is up, on the 3-year weekly is up. But if we go to the shorter term chart, it's a little bit sideways, so more of a neutral chart in the short term. Now, gold is a commodity that's heavily weighted on the Canadian market, and it's been building falling tops here. We went parabolic, we broke the parabolic trend. That's when I lowered my rating, and we're now in this pattern of short-term falling tops, and that's a bit of a concern. So the short-term chart, not that great for gold. The long-term picture is okay still because we are still above the upward trend line, but we've built this falling top and now starting to move down from that. So I think it's appropriate to be a little more cautious on gold, having seen really big gains in that market, but it's starting to slow. Now the US oil fund, which represents oil prices, is showing big gains, and this week we moved to new highs as more concern about oil supplies coming out of the Middle East get digested by the market. So it's a very volatile, sort of hard to predict market. The trend is up, but it's very choppy, and you can see that when we go to the 1-month chart. It's kind of erratic and all over the place. So for traders, that's a little bit of a tougher thing to trade. This kind of market concerns me because it's driven by headlines. And if there's a positive headline for the price of oil, and then all of a sudden it goes down. And if there's a negative headline, something bad happening in the Middle East, then the price can shoot up again. So a little bit tough thing to trade, but it will benefit the oil stocks with these high prices. All right, moving along, let's take a look at the currencies. The US dollar is pretty much neutral, kind of sideways, bouncing around. Bitcoin has been trying to firm up the last little while. We've been slowly starting to turn after this long downward trend, and we've broken the downward trend line on that daily time frame. So looking better. I wouldn't say it's outstanding yet, but it is improving a little bit. I'd like to see it start to build some rising bottoms here. The problem primarily is that long-term upward trend line was broken. That makes this resistance, and we're dealing with this downward trend line, which we're just sort of breaking, but I would still be relatively cautious with Bitcoin. And then finally, let's take a look at the chart of the bond market, because the bond market fell lower the last couple of weeks here. And that is, I think, what's dragged the small cap market down. The bond market is essentially saying that it's not expected that interest rates are going to go down in the US anytime soon. And that hurts the small cap stocks more than the large cap. So we've seen NASDAQ and the S&P do well, but the small cap stocks kind of dragging their feet a little bit. And it's largely because of these expectations that interest rates will remain elevated for a while. Of course, higher oil prices, inflationary, and interest rates stay high to try to curb inflation. So my ratings then, bullish on both time frames for the US large cap and NASDAQ stocks. Small caps, neutral in the short term, but still bullish in the long term. The same for the Canadian market. Gold, short term bearish now and long term neutral. Oil, bullish on both time frames, but very erratic. US dollar, neutral on both time frames. Bitcoin, short term bullish, long term neutral. And bonds, bearish in the short term and long term neutral. All right, let's get into the trade of the week. And this week, we're going to take a look at a swing trade. We often look at day trades, but this stock was a swing trade. And for those who don't have the time to trade all day, swing trades typically show themselves early in the day. Not always, but I would say 80% of swing trades come in the opening hour. And so here you see a stock AKAN, which has had just a great run over the last week and a half. And it all starts back here on the 22nd with a break. And then it made a nice pattern break right here midday on April 28th. Not as time intensive to play these swing trades. Use the same indicators that I use for day trading. I use my action candles, my message candles, moonshot candles. Those who are members of Stockscores will know all about those. And we've had this parabolic trend. Parabolic trend was broken there, so that was the sell signal. But that's a move from $20 to $80 in 3 days. A nice little swing trade on AKAN. I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Remember, I've got a free email that goes out every Monday, available at stockscores.com, the link on the homepage to register for that. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, trade well.